A student went to a Zen teacher and found him working in the garden. The teacher greeted the student and asked, "How is Buddhism in the South?" The student replied, "There is much discussion." The Zen teacher paused and then he said, "Come help me plant radishes in the garden." The student asked, "How will that help the world?" And the teacher replied, "What do you call the world?" When I was a young man, I didn't make time for what most people would call domestic duties. Cooking, cleaning, making the bed. These tasks seemed to be like a waste of time at best, and they were beneath me at worst, frankly. I looked at all the suffering of the world in my unmade bed or the dirty dishes. They seemed insignificant in comparison. I wanted to feed the hungry. I wanted to pull plastic out of the ocean. I wanted to rescue animals being tortured in factory farms. I imagine the student in the koan shared my concerns. There is much discussion is a polite way of saying everything is a mess. And while we'll never know exactly what he was so worried about, there's a good chance that his country was plagued by war, by famine, by political unrest that is more or less the same as what we experience today. In the face of such madness, doing little things like caring for ourselves and caring for others, it doesn't seem that important. But the Zen teacher in the story understood something that we often forget. As Buddhists, when we take the vow to end suffering for all sentient beings, that includes us. It's not only about in-your-face world-ending drama. It includes all sentient beings. It includes all forms of suffering. The suffering of a hungry pet, a lonely neighbor, a partner who needs to vent after having a bad day. It's all included. But because we're greedy, because we want status, because we want attention, because we want a cool story to tell our friends, we turn away from the mundane suffering of life in the hope that a bigger, more impressive problem will appear. Part of the issue is that we see worldly problems as being bigger and more important than our own. That's why the Zen teacher asked his student, "What do you call the world?" If we understand that we are not separate from the world, then we understand that solving problems in our own lives makes life better for the people who share the world with us. If we understand that we are not separate from the world, then we understand that solving problems in our own lives, solving problems in other people's lives, the only thing that matters is that we're solving problems. Our society is better off if one more kitchen is clean. Our communities are better off if there's one more yard that's well cared for. And our homes are better off if there's one more neatly made bed. If we understand that we are not separate from the world, then we face it boldly, unapologetically. We run headlong towards the suffering of our lives. We don't turn away in the moments where the toilet needs to be cleaned, or the kids need to be fed, or the bills need to be paid. We make our small part of the world better than it was before. And in the same way that planting flowers in a garden bed makes the entire lawn more beautiful, fixing the problems of our household lessens the suffering of our families, our communities, and the entire planet. Saving the world is hard, but we can start by making the bed. Amitabha.